Okay, welcome everyone. I am here with a very special guest, Ivan from 3X Capital. We've done a few calls with them in the past and had great conversations about the markets. Ivan, I'm thrilled that you're here with us today, and I'd love to hear a little bit about you, the company, for those unfamiliar, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about the event that you're currently a part of.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Brian, for inviting me. My name is Ivan. I'm a partner at 3X Capital. We also built a startup accelerator called Venture Launch for Solana ecosystem. We invest in usually pre-seed and seed stages, Web3 startups, mainly infrastructure, services, DeFi, but now exploring new interesting topics like decentralized science and some others. So I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Regarding what we are doing now, we are organizing one of the largest retreats in Solana history in Bali. It's called Solana Temple. Excuse me. And we gather around 100 founders here in January for 1 month in order to accelerate their wellness and business growth. We have founders from pre-seed stages to post-TGE stages. We have a Solana Center where founders can work in the co-working area, but also they can have offices. They have meditation room, podcast room, cinema, and some other stuff. Also, we do a lot of pitch practices, demo days, and events connected to different topics that and narratives that we would like to explore, like DeFi, of course, real world assets, DeSci are some interesting narratives for us. So looking forward to the talk today with you. I have some interesting questions about sentiment as well. So how are you, Brian?
Yeah, I'm great. Before we move on to the markets, I just wanted to see if we could shout out 3X Capital and let everyone know where they can go to learn more about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you. You can join our website, 3xcapital.fund. You can apply if you are raising. We got more than 100 applications every month. We are more interested right now, as I mentioned, on Solana ecosystem. So if you're building on Solana, definitely shoot me a DM about what you are doing and also apply so my analysts can reach out and talk with you. So looking forward to meet everyone there and also in Bali. If you're interested to join, we are closing the applications this week. We got more than 110 founders applied. So that would be a super cool experience, not only for them, but also for us, as we are doing a lot of new things like daily wellness practices, including breathing, meditation, yoga, workout. We invited two coaches that will lead the daily practices, but also we invited a lot of mentors, Solana Foundation team members, super team heads, and some other guys who will help us to bring more knowledge and connections into this amazing retreat that we are doing.
Love it. Yeah, it sounds like it's a very hot ticket, and even Sentiment is giving this some consideration, even if it's remote or in person. I hope we get to be a part of it with you guys because Solana Temple sounds like an amazing opportunity. So, thank you for explaining that. And why don't we jump over now into a few of the hot topics that are happening in crypto? Obviously, the biggest news to start the week has been just the overall retraces in market prices as of late. Let's jump over to our screener here where we can see the 30-day returns here down in the price bar chart, as well as the social volume changes for several of the top 60 to 70 market caps in crypto. And yeah, their familiar story over the past 30 days has been the absolute ascension by XRP, which has surged into the number 4 market cap spot once again. Stellar has also cracked the top 20, going up 269%. and HBAR up 389% over the past 30 days. So these three assets have been getting an incredible amount of attention. You can see XRP's social volume is up 607.5% in these past 30 days compared to the 30 days prior. Stellar should be right here, up 710% in social volume. And Hedera, if we go a little further down, is 263% higher than its previous month. So yeah, when you see these kinds of enormous price ascensions, you're going to see more FOMO and more discussion revolving around the price itself or just some of the news that perpetuated the prices to go the way that they did. Have there been any coins from 3X Capital's perspective that have been a special story for you in any way, Ivan?
For sure. From the coins that I can see here, I'm super interesting, and I'm holding positions in Ethereum, BTC, Solana, BNB. I don't see Mina here. I also sold my positions in Aptos during the previous spike on the past week. But I'm curious to hear more about Solana, especially the social media volumes.
Yeah, let's take a look. I hadn't prepared the specific Solana social metrics, but we can do so right now. If I just go to a new chart, put in Solana, let me take off these previous metrics, and we'll unlock this so it changes to SOL. And we will put on social dominance right here. And we can see that its peak happened back on November 16th, just about 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago. And it ended up hitting its top about a week after that. In fact, if we zoom in, we can get a little more precise with this. Because usually what happens is we see social dominance go through the roof on a rising asset, and then very quickly afterwards, we'll see a retrace. So there was about a 4-day gap between its huge spike where it was seeing over about 8.5% of all discussions. And then all of a sudden we see its price top here, just over 263. And it's been going down ever since, back down to 214 as of now. So percentage wise, it's been getting an increasing amount of discussion just over the past 3 months. Even now, at 4.3%, it's still much higher than where it kind of was for most of at least the middle part of the year. It was getting a ton right here back in March, and you can see exactly what I mean. Prices tend to top as soon as social dominance goes through the roof for an asset. So it happened back in March. It also happened in December, where the price ended up correcting as well. So on the social dominance end, it's come back down to a healthy range at least. We don't want to see it surge up to 7-8+%, because that would indicate that there's just a ton of FOMO going on right now.
Super interesting. And what platforms do you use to aggregate these data?
Yeah, great question. So we track all of the social data on Reddit, Telegram, 4chan, X, and Bitcoin Talk. Those are our big 5, or did I say 6? I can't even count right now. But we aggregate all of that social media together to give us an idea of how much positive sentiment is happening versus negative sentiment at any given time. So in these dark green bars, you can see the rise in positive comments. So anytime someone says something like, SLL is going to the moon, I am so bullish on Solana, whatever they say, our algorithm will track that was a positive comment about Solana. And if they say something like, I don't believe in Solana, it's a scam coin, I hate their community, something just negative overall, that would of course be classified as a negative comment. And you can see what would happen if you get too negative compared to too positive. Something like back here, there was actually very even amounts of positive versus negative comments. That's what this gold line represents with this ratio. So very low gold lines indicate a pretty split difference between positive and negative comments. And very high means that people are overly confident, getting a lot of FOMO, and they're expecting prices to rise. Uh, because markets move the opposite direction of the crowd's expectation, you actually want to be buying when this gold line is low, and you want to be taking profit theoretically, or at least de-risking when it's really high like this. Even if you believe in the asset long term, you can usually find a lot of local tops and bottoms using this method.
Wow, thanks, Brian. Sounds great. Tool to understand the market sentiment and make decisions when you need to buy, sell, or de-risk part of your portfolio.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. And another thing we talked about before the call was the percentage of the total supply of some of these top caps that are currently in profit. And we both remarked that, you know, it was at 100% or technically 99.9 for most of you know, the time that we were seeing all-time highs being made. And eventually, of course, we aren't at an all-time high anymore. And currently, what we're seeing is around 92.5% of Bitcoin in profit. Basically, that means that wherever the coins are sitting right now, if the coins are at a higher price than at the time that the coin first entered into that address, it's considered in profit. If it's at a lower price now than when it first entered, it's considered at a loss. So 92.5% are in profit right now. For Ethereum, it's about 90.1%. And for XRP, it's at about 97.3%. So XRP is way up high because of the absolute dominance that it's shown over the past month.
yeah, super interesting. I'm also curious to explore with you the periods of cycles. So we achieved all-time high just a week ago, or even less, and how long it usually um, stays in the range
Yeah.
during this period. So maybe we can analyze previous cycles and see some correlation,
So we just
some
put out
similarities.
totally. We put out a post just about an hour ago talking about the mean dollar invested age lines of some of the top caps, especially Bitcoin, XRP, and Dogecoin right now. And you can see these kind of transparent arrows that are following along their mean dollar invested age lines. This basically means the coins on those associated networks are getting younger. And when they get younger, it means that whales and key stakeholders are circulating older stagnant coins back into circulation. When the lines are moving up, that's more of a sign of a stagnant, unpredictable, or even bearish market. But right now, especially with Bitcoin, it's been moving down for about 14 months straight. XRP a little more recently started moving down, and Dogecoin very, very recently started moving down. So these three networks in particular are getting just an extraordinary amount of stagnant coins coming back into circulation and allowing for increased healthy network activity, which is typically associated with a bull market. So if I go back here to answer your question, let's go back 8 years and look at the mean dollar invested age line. So during most bull rallies, I'll change this to candles here for a moment. During most bull rallies, you'll see that the mean dollar invested age line is moving down, and simultaneously the price is moving up. And you can see right around the second half of December 2017, if you were around crypto that long, the mean dollar invested age line stopped moving down, indicating the key stakeholders were content and they no longer were pushing up prices. They just hung on to their coins at this point or even took profit. And this started sending the mean dollar invested age line up again. This rally kind of started around like October 2016. So around 14 months before it started moving back up again. This one happened about 7 months after COVID began, October 2020. And it was a huge downward slope in the mean dollar invested age line. And it actually finally cooled off after Bitcoin was trying to make one more run up. It got back above 60K at the time, and then it fell a ton. And you can see the network started to get stagnant. So even here, when Bitcoin made one more all time high above 68.7K, it looked like fool's gold because the mean dollar invested age line was already climbing so much. And it climbed and climbed all the way until we got to essentially mid to late October of last year, about 14 months ago. From that time, about 14 months ago, we've just been on a nice downward slope. We kind of slowed down here. It was looking a little bit iffy, and then it climbed up and then dropped down considerably right around the time that Trump got elected as the next US president. Obviously, this was news key stakeholders were happy with, and they began to move a lot of stagnant coins, circulating the network and allowing for these new all-time highs to happen. So as of now, we're continuing to move down. Looking at previous cycles, this one here lasted about 14 months. This one here was a lot shorter, but it was also a very strange, unique time with COVID happening. So it was only about 6 months, but I've seen bull rallies last anywhere between, 4 months all the way to maybe 16 months or so, maybe 18 at the most. But yeah, bull rallies usually aren't defined by like multi-year, perpetual, nonstop growth the way we've been seeing. So at some point, we can expect that the FOMOers will get punished. They'll end up selling their bags as prices are plummeting. And it might not be that big of a plummet, but it'll be enough to put some serious fear in the markets. And that would allow for a nice rebound. But some are arguing we're already going to see that. I don't think we're going to see a huge drop until the mean dollar invested age line starts to flatten out the way it did back on this cycle or this cycle.
Do you think it can go down similar to the last cycle, like to 138 or 208 mark?
Oh, down here. I think it's possible. There are so many wallets now. If we look at the overall amount of non-empty wallets by clicking on total amount of holders, we'll just add it to the same chart. We'll make it like bright blue so we can see it very clearly. So it's been climbing so much, and the more non-empty wallets that exist, the harder it is for the average age to move down, because in 2016, there were only about 12 to 13 million wallets that needed to start getting, or a percentage of that needed to start getting active in order to send this line down a ton. But now we've got 54 million, a little over 4x the amount that we had 8 years ago. And that means that there would need to be 4 times as many wallets that are suddenly moving their stagnant coins to send us way back down below 200. So my opinion is the number doesn't matter. I think the older the network is, the more justification there is to have a higher number, like an average of 439 days, as opposed to 65 days or 178 days like we had in the previous 2 cycles. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I love to see that and to have like a helicopter view on the market.
Absolutely.
What other interesting metrics do you use to analyze the markets like more long term, and to understand where you need to liquidate part of your portfolio and take some money from the market?
Yeah. So I like to check out how greedy the market is getting in terms of just their overall topics of discussion. This pink bar here represents a very high point where meme coins were getting a ton of discussion. The green means that layer ones like Bitcoin or Ethereum are getting a lot of discussion themselves. And then the purples are more like the layer twos, where you might be seeing a lot of those high to mid cap assets getting a lot of discussion while the other two are really low. But in general, you want to avoid being in markets when meme coins are being discussed at a really high rate, because this is a clear signal of greed by the crowd. When you see, more like layer ones getting a little more dominance, it can be good for the markets, especially when it's really high, like layer ones up high, meme coins are down low. Um, and it's kind of neutralized out right now, but I would be much more relaxed now that meme coin discussion and euphoria has taken a bit of a backseat. So I like to check in on this. It's basically measuring the percentage of discussions of the 6 largest layer ones, 6 largest layer twos, and the 6 largest meme coins directly compared to each other on the same chart.
Super interesting to have like a broad understanding of media impact, but also the impact and the on-chain data that is happening can give you a lot of insights. I'm curious to learn from you, like the MVRV ratio for Bitcoin, how it changed during the past couple of months.
Yeah, let's check out MVRV really quick. So if we go to the average returns for Bitcoin, we'll look at the 30-day and the 365-day. So we have a nice short-term and long-term indication here. So if we go back to the past year, full screen that. So we see that the 30-day returns actually just went into negative range, which is quite interesting. If we went back to November 10th, 1 month ago, the 30-day returns were at a whopping plus 21%. And anything above like 15% is considered kind of a historic danger zone. You can see right here, we were very close to a top when it was above, and again right here 1 month ago. And yes, prices did climb despite being in that danger zone, but eventually we saw this retrace. And now that we're in a negative zone, that means that buying right now, you'd actually be buying while the average wallets that have been active in the past 30 days are at a slight loss. They're down about negative 0.42%. So that should be considered a good thing. It would be great if we saw the long-term MVRV, the 365-day, start to fall a little more itself. But right now it's still way up at about plus 31%. Not surprising with the way Bitcoin has flourished throughout 2024. But eventually we will see a time where it's below 0% once again. And you can see when they're both below zero at the same time, like they were here in the first week of September and the first week of August, 2 of the biggest crashes of the year. These were both ideal points to buy. So that's what a lot of expert traders are waiting for, the eventual point where these are both back below 0%.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing, Brian. Also, quite interesting metric that I'm using is NUPL, NUPL. Have you checked it as well recently?
Yeah, so we have network realized profit loss, not network unrealized. I think our team values this just a little bit more. They do tend to act similarly. And one thing I wanted to ask is, what do you typically look for as a top versus a bottom sign when you use NUPL?
Yeah, so for me personally, the numbers like this spikes that you can see here in the area of December, like almost all times high, previous heights, is a good signal that the market is like more in the euphoria and greed zone. So the definitely a good time to start thinking about positions that kind of volatile and start fixing and taking the profits
Hmm.
from the market. I do not have like a clear number when, but when I see these spikes, I definitely start liquidating at least part of the most volatile portfolio, like low caps and
Right.
mid caps.
Now, I'm sure
So,
not everyone at 3x Capital has the exact same opinions of the markets at any given time, but do you guys have somewhat of a consensus as to whether markets are a bit overheated right now or not?
um, sure. So we have a clear understanding. So when, of course, we see like the all-time high and the greed that is happening like during especially the past week, we try to make very fast decisions as we did on the previous week. So it took a couple of days to liquidate all like risky positions, and now we are sitting mainly on bigger altcoins and Bitcoin and stables. Um, so we do not have like a clear metric that we use to liquidate, but it's more about the mixture of on-chain data, volumes on exchanges, market sentiment, social media sentiment. So it's like a mix of different metrics.
Hmm.
And in general, when people start reaching out and asking you like what coin to buy, they want to learn more about crypto. They want to
Oh, yeah.
create some new crypto account or buy new coin. It means that the interest around the industry is growing outside of people who are already in Web3, and
Right.
that's just a good timing to exit.
That's a
But
great
of
point.
course,
Because when
yeah,
we get a lot of people reaching out, asking us what coins to buy and, you know, what point we should sell all of this stuff, or what point to buy more, that kind of thing. We know it's a sign of FOMO because Santiment is already well known as a data platform that isn't here to give investment advice. We can analyze markets together, but everything we look at is in probabilities. So when people approach us anyways, we know, okay, it's someone new who thinks we might be like a trading group leader or something. And that must be a sign that there's a lot of novices and new people coming into the space because we're so well known as a non investment advice platform. So I agree with you. I think that's a very good point you're making when there's an increase of approaches in your trading group, or even many of the viewers watching this who might be, above average traders, and suddenly they're getting just flooded with messages from people they barely talk to who are, trying to be opportunistic about this bull market.
yeah, totally agree. I also do not give any financial advice to anyone here. I just sharing my own
Of course.
personal thoughts and some decisions that I personally made with my team, but definitely I'm not here to give anyone like advice and hints when to buy or sell. I'm more into different interesting niches and new like areas where I would love to learn more and explore, and like designs, real world assets, something where I'm very curious now. Like probably Brian, you saw a lot of interest at some periods to real world assets,
Hmm.
but at the same time we know that this niche was born in 2017, and in the past 7 to 8 years, we have not seen like real world big applications that are truly like changing the web to part of real world assets. So I expect to see more mature products in the market soon. And also I see a lot of interest to designs, which is the niche that will decentralize the way of funding, sharing, and publishing of science in general. So we have projects like VitaDAO. I don't know if you heard AthenaDAO and some other interesting projects that helps scientists to get funding and to get users to collaborate to do some researches on different stages, which is super unique. And I think in general, the world can benefit from this type of initiatives in the market.
Great point. Yeah, I think there are so many great projects out there that want to be known as much more than just what their market cap or price is defining them as. And we have to remember that the technology behind so many of these projects are really advancing crypto and upping the level of expectations that anything in the crypto space should have if it wants to continue existing in this ecosystem. So I'm very curious, maybe on the next call, we could talk more about some of those projects and some of the research your team has been putting into them, because I always like hearing others' perspectives and learning new things about the markets that I'm not currently focused on, while mostly just focusing on sentiments metrics. So this has been wonderful, Ivan. Any final thoughts you may have about the markets and just the maybe the rest of the year that you're looking out for in terms of metrics?
Thank you, Brian. Of course, I'm looking to buy back some assets that I have sold. So I will be following Sentiment, Masari, and other platforms in order to find out what is a good timing to buy. But also, thank you for inviting me. That's always a pleasure to learn from you. And I think next time we can speak more about different narratives and startups, as I'm more experienced in early stage investments than in liquid strategies. That's my main focus as a VC. So thanks a lot, and love the work that you are doing at Sentiment.
Thank you. And I'd love to. I'm looking forward to talking about that. And we'll keep everyone updated on any fear or greed metrics as they start to go extreme one way or the other. So thank you again, Ivan. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And let's catch up again in a couple weeks, maybe.
Sure. Thank you. Wishing a wonderful week to everyone.
Cheers, everybody.